Переведи в напор. 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 Предельный угол атаки. Предельный угол атаки. Предельный угол атаки. Переведи в напор. Переведи в напор. Переведи в напор. Предельный угол атаки. Предельный угол атаки. Предельный угол атаки. Предельный угол атаки. Переведи в напор. Переведи в напор. Переведи в напор. Переведи в напор. Предельный угол атаки. 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 Предельный угол атаки.
Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be going over an engagement between myself and multiple bandits. And at the start of the engagement, as you can see, it's about a three ship, 3 scattered bandits. And I'm engaging the first bandit here at about 80 clicks. And this bandit has a lot of speed, as you can see at the top left there, and a lot of altitude. So I get off my first ER at about 50 kilometers because I want to start the engagement from farther out, and as it gets closer I want to start to exit the engagement and hopefully get this bandit out of the fight before the second bandit comes into play. Now in the bottom right hand corner I have a second screen of my MFD just so you can see my situation and understand what's happening in the moment. So now that bandit is going cold, I can turn my focus to the next threat, which is the bandit to the left. Based on my MFD scale, I know the bandit's within 50, so this is still a good range for me because going up against an AMRAM while using an ER, I know above 25 kilometers or so I have the advantage. I have the speed and altitude advantage on this bandit, so a 40 kilometer shot is a good shot. So I fire at about 40. And I begin my crank. Since I'm low on missiles, I only send off 1 ER, and this is a good position to be in because I'm firing outside of the bandit's weapon employment zone because he can't fire as of yet, meaning that I have a higher percentage of getting a kill on him before he gets in range to fire his missile. Now I'm also keeping an eye on the bandit to my 6 o'clock and getting a good read on how close he is so I can determine how long to keep this engagement going. Now I bug out at about 25 kilometers because I don't want to press it, and I want to keep maintain my distance in this engagement. Keep in mind I am going up against 2 different fighters, so the key here is knowing when to extend. I know that I've got the other bandit on my 6, and I know I don't want to stay in a fight too long with the bandit I was just engaging because that'll give the bandit that's chasing me too much time to close the distance. The key to BVR with the R-27ER versus the AMRAAM is you want to maintain your distance. You want to extend, which is exactly what I'm doing now. And I'm using the scale to get a estimation of how far away I am from these bandits and if I'm gaining distance on them, which I am. And what this does is it allows me to reset the fight and stay at a safe distance while keeping them outside of an effective range to use their AMRAAM. So I'm looking at the scale and I see they're not gaining on me, and I transition through my scale just to see and keep up with their position relative to me. I figure I have enough distance to re-engage, so I do so by turning around. And what you'll see is they're close, but they're not too close to where I'm at my MAR. So I can now successfully turn around, reset the engagement, and start over again. Now this bandit's within 25, so I'm still safe here, and I get off a shot. I've got the speed advantage and the slight altitude advantage, and this gives me the ability to kind of hold on to my missile a little bit and hopefully get a hit. I see that he's going cold, and I disengage because I'm closing the distance, and I don't want to do that. The key, like I said, to using the ER is just having really good situational awareness and understanding your critical distances when it comes to engaging other fighters. So once again, I extend and keep my speed up and outrun the AMRAAM that they fired. But honestly, it's all about just making sure you keep a safe distance away from the bandits that you're engaging. So I'm just running out the missile, I'm looking at my data link, and I'm just waiting until I get to a point where I feel like it's safe to re-engage with the bandit. And I figured I've gained enough distance and it's safe, so I turn back in. And this bandit is, based on the scale, is probably going to be within 25. I'm not sure yet. And there he is. He's at just about 25. So I've kept a safe distance, and I'm able to re-engage from a distance in which I know I'm still safe. And I'm able to hold on to my ER just a little bit longer to see if I can try and get a kill before his AMRAAM goes active and closes the distance. I haven't got a hit yet, and I'm like, all right, and it's time to disengage. Notice the bandit does have a lot of speed. So now at this point, I'm pretty much out of ERs, and I still have that other bandit off to my left that's engaging, and I'm hoping that he gets picked up by a friendly, but I'm keeping an eye on him. So with no long-range missiles left, no ETs, no ERs, it's a situation where you kind of have to either go cold and run away, or try and defeat the bandit's radar and force a merge. Knowing how I am, I stayed in the fight to see what I could make happen, and it leads to a pretty good engagement. So at this point, I'm thinking hopefully I've exhausted all the AMRAAMs that this bandit has had, because he's been firing quite a few, so I'm hoping he doesn't have any left at this point. The only option I really have left is to try and notch the bandit and force a merge. But this is not a position you want to be in if you can help it.
Предельный угол атаки. 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 Предельный угол атаки.
So this is a more tac view approach to the debrief like I normally do for those of you who want to have a better tactical understanding of what happened. So this is the first Hornet that I engaged that had a lot of speed and altitude. The goal here was to take him out of the fight before I could engage the other two bandits. And as you saw previously, it was a pretty successful move here because the Hornet does disengage and he is out of the fight. Now, one key thing you'll see throughout this tag view is the fact that I actually left a lot of kills on the table due to my cautiousness, and it would really show you how good of a missile the ER actually is. So now I'm engaging the F-16 all the way out to the left, and I'm trying to select him so I can get a distance scale on here. And as you can see, I get the first shot off at range, which is the goal because you have an advantage at distance. Your goal in the flanker is to try and kill the opponent before he's within a range in which he can successfully employ his AMRAAM. And just look at the speed on the missile. It's really good actually, especially at 20 miles. And if I would have held my lock, this would have been a kill. But like I said, due to my over cautiousness, I left a lot of kills on the table here. But that just speaks to how good of a missile the ER is. The F-16 gets a shot off, but before he even got the shot off, he was already dead. The only thing that saved him was the fact that I chose to extend. Now here, if you look at the range scale, this is what I mean by knowing when to extend. This is where the AMRAAM is going to do well at, within 10 miles, and I know this. So in order to play to my advantage, I want to keep the F-16 at bay. I want to keep him above 15 miles if I can, because like I said in my previous video, you have to take into account at least 2 to 3 miles to re-engage, and his AMRAAMs aren't going to catch me, obviously. So I'm creating distance. I have more speed than him, which is why it's important to keep your speed up, because you can dictate when and where you start the fight. It's almost like boxing if you think about it. But so now I'm at a safe distance. I can re-engage. I'm still above my 10-mile mark, and when I do re-engage, I see his speed and I see where he's at, and I know that I'm in a safe situation, particularly safe situation here. So now I'm still above my minimum bore range of 10 miles. He's got a decent bit of speed. I respect his shot, and I'm just holding off here just to see what happens. Just trying to give myself enough time to get a splash before I have to disengage. And if you look at the speed on the ER, it outperforms the AMRAAM in all categories. The AMRAAM's already dead in the water, but my ER has a lot of energy still on it. But like I said, I don't want to press too much. I want to stay safe, and I want to keep the fight on my terms, so I disengage and allow myself to get some distance in the extension. I'm also keeping my eye on the Hornet on data link on the top left, just making sure I maintain a safe distance from him as well, because if he catches me, if he presses while the other bandit goes cold, it will be a pretty bad situation for myself. So like once again, opening up the distance, that 16 burnt a lot of energy in his maneuvering while I kept my energy high. This allows me to keep that safe barrier between him and I, which allows me to use my ER in a more in a better situation than he can use his AMRAAM. It is essentially like boxing if you think about it, because I know I have the reach advantage, and I'm going to use that continuously until I can't use it anymore. So once again, we're engaging at about 15 miles. I'm still at a good distance here, so I fire and then I crank to prevent him from getting off a shot, and if he does, I want his missile to travel and put a lot of lead on the missile to kill its energy early on. And if just look at the energy differential between my missile and his, it's clearly the AMRAAM's clearly at a disadvantage above 10 miles, as you can see. And once again, left another kill on the table because I wanted to be safe, which you should always be safe, but that ER would have splashed him as well. But essentially, this is how you fight against the AMRAAM. You maximize your potential to get the kill by staying at a safe distance in which your missile can be more successful, while also minimizing the bandit's ability to get off a good shot. And if you continuously do that and you're disciplined in how you fly the flanker, an F-16, F-15, F-18 will not be able to compete with you. It's just too many people use the ER incorrectly and end up in situations where they essentially get shot down. So now at this point, like I said in the video, I'm out of ERs, I'm out of long range weapons. There's no reason for me to really extend because I have nothing to extend and fire back with. So my goal was to pretty much draw out any more shots that he had. I assumed he may have been out of AMRAAMs at this point, but you never know. And I still have that Hornet to the top left that's firing on me, which is important, which is why it is important to keep your speed up. But somebody takes off and ends up engaging him, so that helps me with that situation. So I perform my notch, put the band on my 3-9 line, dumping flares and chaff, and just staying as defensive as possible because that's really the only option I have. And the F-16 comes in with a lot of speed, a lot of energy. And this is not a good thing because it forces him to overshoot. I didn't really have a visual on him at the time, but he does, present a nice shot for me when he comes roaring in over the top, which leads me to get my R-27 off, and that was the end of the engagement. So from start to finish, it was a really good engagement. I thought this would be a great video, honestly, to show how, just honestly a lot of experience and just understanding how to use the flanker. It can honestly be the best platform in the game if you use it properly. But yeah, so BVR engagement against 3 different bandits, effectively using distance, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.